You're watching A News. I'm Leila Masimba. Here's the top stories for today. Trump issues last warning to Hamas over Israeli hostage release. Washington poses intelligence sharing with Ukraine. France and the UK aim to finalize a peace plan with Ukraine, possibly in days, diplomatic source says. The US has posed new auto tariffs after talks with major car makers, but uncertainty still looms for suppliers.
US President Donald Trump has granted a one-month pause on new tariffs for automakers importing from Mexico and Canada. The move follows talks with Ford, General Motors and Stellantis, as concerns grow that tariffs could hurt US manufacturing. The pause offers temporary relief, but for businesses like DMS Components in Canada, uncertainty still lingers.
We were applauding when he got in as far as the direction for the auto industry, so we do feel betrayed. We do respect that, obviously, as Canada wants to do what's best for Canada, the United States wants to do what's best for the United States. But again, that is why it's so important that all the facts get out there, and we get to sit down and talk about this and actually see what the reality of the situation is.
The US imported over $11 billion in auto parts from Canada last year, underscoring the deep ties between the two economies. But uncertainty over tariffs has left businesses in limbo, with many projects put on hold. Hicks Company supplies auto parts to US manufacturers, but without clear direction, businesses are struggling to plan ahead.
That created a lot of uncertainty in our industry and many industries, because a lot of programs were put on hold because there was really not a direction. So in my mind, the uncertainty of tariffs are just almost as bad as the tariffs themselves.
The pause offers relief to automakers, but suppliers and manufacturers remain in limbo, unsure of what comes next in an industry already shaken by uncertainty.
US President Donald Trump has issued what he calls a last warning to Hamas, demanding the immediate release of all hostages held in Gaza. This follows direct talks between US officials and Hamas, marking a departure from Washington's long-standing policy of avoiding contact with the militant group.
They think they're doing us a favor by sending us bodies.
US President Donald Trump says that Hamas must release all hostages and return the bodies of those killed. He made the announcement on his Truth Social platform, warning that failure to comply would result in severe consequences. He also promised what he called a beautiful future to Gaza civilians, but not if they hold hostages. His warning comes just hours after the US confirmed direct negotiations with Hamas, a significant departure from US policy against negotiating with groups that the US brands as terrorist organizations. The talks come as a fragile Israel-Hamas ceasefire remains in question. The White House also confirmed that US officials have held 2 direct meetings with Hamas representatives in Doha, Qatar, following several indirect communications.
Well, when it comes to the negotiations that you're referring to, first of all, the special envoy who's engaged in those negotiations does have the authority to talk to anyone. Israel was consulted on this matter. And look, dialogue and talking to people around the world to do what's in the best interest of the American people is something that the president has proven is what he believes is good faith effort to do what's right for the American people.
As diplomatic efforts continue, Israel maintains that 59 hostages remain in Gaza. Hamas has yet to comment on Trump's threats.
Tensions between the United States and Ukraine have escalated, with all intelligence sharing and weapons supplies suspended following heated meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky. This post-in cooperation will remain in effect until a date is set for peace talks with Russia, significantly affecting Ukraine's military capabilities. Obi Shabandar has more on Washington, D.C.
All intelligence sharing between the United States and Ukraine has been put to a stop. at least for the time being. John Ratcliffe, the Director for Central Intelligence, confirmed that the pause was a result of the fallout from last week's confrontational Oval Office meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky. President Trump's National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said on Wednesday that the suspension of weapon supplies and intelligence sharing with Ukraine will continue until a date is set for peace talks with Russia. This move is expected to severely restrict Ukraine's military capacity to strike deep into Russian territory and target strategic military and energy sites. The White House pressure on Kyiv has led to President Zelensky issuing a statement on Tuesday expressing regret for his very public clash with President Trump. In that statement, Zelensky said that he was committed to peace talks. National Security Advisor Waltz told reporters on Wednesday that he spoke with his Ukrainian counterpart and are in discussions on potential dates and locations for talks between Ukraine and Russia. The battlefield picture remains dire for the Ukrainians in the meantime. Western intelligence officials have assessed that Russian military territorial advances in Ukraine accelerated throughout 2024, though have slowed down in early 2025. I'm Ubi Shibander for A News, Washington, D.C.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says there has been what he calls positive movement in cooperation with the U.S. He says it could lead to another meeting between the two sides soon. Kyiv is eager to repair ties with its top military supporter. It's Zelensky after and US President Donald Trump publicly clashed in the White House last week over how to end the war in Ukraine.
Everyone can see how quickly diplomatic events are unfolding. Today, our teams, Ukraine and the United States, have begun working on a meeting. Andriy Yermak and Michael Waltz have spoken, and there is positive movement. We hope for the first results next week.
An air missile has hit a hotel in the Ukrainian theater of Kryvyi Rih, killing at least 4 people and injuring dozens. Emergency crews are still working at the site. According to Ukrainian authorities, rescuers have pulled 14 people from the rubble, but more could still be trapped. Photos show emergency teams searching through debris using a crane to reach higher floors. The strike triggered a fire and officials warn of a possible second attack. Kryvyi Rih is President Zelensky's hometown and had been hit multiple times during the war. France and the UK aim to finalize a peace plan with Ukraine in days to present to the United States, according to Reuters, citing diplomatic sources familiar with the matter. Another diplomatic source told Reuters that the main goal is to align European and Ukrainian positions before presenting a peace proposal to the US. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron will host European army chiefs in Paris next week, stressing the need for Europe to strengthen its defense. The French president also pledged to boost defense spending without raising taxes and open debate on extending France's nuclear umbrella to European allies. Police tightened security measures in Brussels today as EU leaders were expected to meet. The summit is aiming to endorse bold measures to ramp up defense spending and pledge support for Ukraine. The meeting will take place after Donald Trump's suspension of military aid to Kyiv fueled concerns the continent can no longer be sure of US protection. Leaders of the European Union's 27 countries will be joined by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Our William Dunslow reports more about the EU Leaders Summit from the Belgian capital.
Senior EU officials say that this emergency summit was called because of what was described as shifting priorities from Washington. This gathering of EU leaders is an opportunity to see what Europe can do to bolster support for Ukraine, not just in the short term, but to provide long-term security guarantees as well. One issue on the docket will be this proposal raised by the likes of London and Paris, this so-called coalition of the willing, and the potential for European peacekeeping forces to be sent to Ukraine if there were to be some kind of peace settlement. That will be one issue. Another is how to provide more short-term military assistance for Ukraine, especially considering that Washington has, at least for now, halted its military aid to Kyiv. However, there is not alignment from all member states. Hungary has been resistant to such a move, saying that more military aid for Ukraine would be detrimental to efforts to find a lasting peace. This summit here at the European Council is not just squarely on Ukraine. The issue of the wider European security is also being discussed. Officials say that Ukraine's security is interwoven with that of wider Europe. That is why in the last few days, Ursula von der Leyen, the Commission President, has proposed a Rearm Europe plan that's worth roughly $850 billion to really boost Europe's defence capabilities. That will be another key issue discussed at this summit of EU leaders. William Denzler, Free News in Brussels.
Clashes erupted in Athens outside Parliament as demonstrators protested over Greece's war-strained disaster that killed 57 people in 2023. The violence broke out as lawmakers debated a censure motion submitted by opposition parties against the centre-right government.
Greek police used tear gas and protesters used stones as they clashed in Athens on Wednesday during demonstrations over a deadly train crash in 2023. The disaster, which killed 57 people, sparked public outrage over government accountability and rail safety. Thousands gathered outside Parliament as lawmakers debated a censure motion against Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis' government. Opposition parties accuse the administration of failing to fix safety gaps and covering up key evidence. The centre-right government denies these accusations. It now faces a no-confidence vote on Friday over the handling of the tragic event. However, Mitsotakis' New Democracy Party is expected to survive the vote. Many demonstrators say justice has not been served and that the government has lost public trust. Before the demonstration, protesters remembered the victims by releasing lanterns and holding a moment of silence. The rail accident happened in February 2023, when a passenger train and a freight locomotive collided on the same track. Human error and faulty track were blamed at the time. Around 40 people have been prosecuted so far. A trial isn't expected until the end of the year.
South Korean residents are calling for an immediate halt to military drills near Seoul. After bombs landed in a civilian district, injuring 15 people and causing damage to homes and a church. The South Korean Air Force apologized and confirmed that devices were accidentally released during a joint exercise with the U.S. military.
At least 15 people were injured, including 2 seriously, when shells were accidentally dropped on a residential area. Pocheon is about 40 kilometers northeast of Seoul, near the heavily militarized border with North Korea. Officials confirmed the bombs were part of the annual live-fire exercises conducted with U.S. forces, but fell outside the designated training range. A KF-16 fighter jet released 8 Mk-82 devices, causing significant damage to homes and a church. Residents have long voiced concerns and are now calling for an immediate halt to the military drills. The South Korean Air Force has launched an investigation into the incident and issued a public apology. The fire department assisted with rescue operations, checking for additional injuries, while authorities evacuated the area to search for any unexploded ordnance. This incident comes as South Korean and U.S. forces announced preparations for the Freedom Shield exercise scheduled to begin on Monday until the 20th of March. The drills will include computer-simulated training and field exercises. Officials say the aim is to enhance readiness against any North Korean threats and its neighbors' growing ties with Russia.
Turkey's defense industry has successfully tested a cutting-edge precision strike system called the Gözdağı Guidance Kit, developed by TÜBİTAK Sage and Aselsan's. New technology targets high-speed moving threats.
In a major breakthrough for Turkey's defense sector, the Gözdağı Guidance Kit has successfully demonstrated its precision strike capabilities. According to a statement from Aselsan, the kit was tested on an F-16 fighter jet, where it accurately hit a high-speed moving target. The test demonstrated the system's advanced precision strike capabilities as a fast-moving vehicle target was marked using an electro-optical laser designator and successfully neutralized by Gözdağ's integrated sensor guidance system. Developed jointly by TÜBİTAK Sage and Aselsan, the Gözdağı Guidance Kit transforms Mk-82 general-purpose bombs into precision-guided munitions. Equipped with an advanced INS GPS and laser seeker guidance system, it enables high-accuracy engagement of both fixed and moving targets. The system is designed for use with multiple platforms, including F-16 fighter jets and Bayraktar Akıncı UCAVs, providing operational flexibility in various combat scenarios. Experts see this as a major milestone in Turkey's defense technology landscape, further solidifying the nation's self-sufficiency in advanced military solutions.
Azerbaijan and Turkey have launched a natural gas pipeline to Azerbaijan's Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic. The opening ceremony was held in Ankara and attended by President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
An honor guard greeted Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev at the Ankara airport, and he was welcomed by Turkish Finance Minister and other officials ahead of his meeting with the President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The two leaders met in the presidential complex for talks on bilateral ties, regional and global issues. Erdogan and Aliyev attended via video link the opening ceremony of the İğdır-Nakhchivan natural gas pipeline, the foundation of which they laid back in September 2023. The 97.5 kilometers long pipeline has the capacity to transport 2 million cubic meters of gas per day, which is enough gas to meet the needs of Nakhchivan, Azerbaijan's exclave with a population of around 500,000.
Bugün açılışında iştirak ettiğimiz proje Nakhchivan'ın enerji güvenliğini.
The project we are inaugurating today will ensure the energy security of Nakhchivan. The gas coming from Azerbaijan will be transferred to Nakhchivan through the territory of Turkey in the form of a swap and will save Nakhchivan from this problem.
İhlas etmiş olacaktır. Bizim birgə həyata keçirdiyimiz enerji projelerimiz
Our joint energy initiatives have also enabled the implementation of transport projects.
gerçekleşmesine de imkan verdi ve bugün
Today, the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway, which connects Turkey with Azerbaijan, provides great advantages both for our countries and for a wider region.
avantajlar sağlayır. Hem ülkelerimiz için hem daha geniş coğrafya için.
This transport link has tremendous significance and benefits, especially in terms of uniting the Turkic world.
Çok büyük manası var, çok büyük faydası var.
Anadolu geçişli doğalgaz boru hattı TANAP vasıtasıyla
We are experiencing the joy of delivering a large amount of Azerbaijani gas to Europe through the natural gas pipeline passing through Anatolia. We are in full agreement with Azerbaijan on implementing strategic and extraordinary projects in this field. Today, together with my brother Ilham Aliyev, we are very pleased to add a new project to this cooperation. The Iğdır-Nakhçıvan natural gas pipeline, which we will soon inaugurate, will complement our previous strategic initiatives in the field of energy and also serve as a sign of our common destiny with Nakhçıvan. This 80 kilometers pipeline, built by Bothans S with a daily transport capacity of up to 2 million cubic meters, will meet all of Nakhçıvan's natural gas needs for at least 30 years. Thus, my brother and I have delivered a project to our countries that will ensure the energy security of Nakhçıvan for many years to come.
The press conference was followed by a one-on-one meeting with today's program of the visit, wrapping up with an iftar dinner.
The partnership between Georgia and Uzbekistan is advancing to a new level. During his official visit to Tashkent, Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze discussed the future development of the Middle Corridor and the strengthening of the economic ties between the two countries. Our correspondent Fariza Kalimurzana has more.
In his official visit to Uzbekistan, Georgian Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze stressed the significance of deepening collaboration between Georgia and Uzbekistan to boost the Middle Corridor. Speaking with journalists, he emphasized the importance of maintaining progress in this area, pointing out the advantages of actively advancing the economies of both nations. As part of the visit to Tashkent, the 10th session of the Intergovernmental Commission on Economic Cooperation between Uzbekistan and Georgia took place. During the meeting, it was announced that trade turnover between the two countries reached $325.7 million last year, reflecting growing economic ties. Kobakidze also pointed out that Georgia has been expanding its economic connections, with the country's economy growing at an average rate of 10% over the past 4 years. He stressed Georgia's strategic role as a bridge between Europe and Asia, particularly with major infrastructure projects in the works. These include the construction of a new international airport in Tbilisi and a new port on the Black Sea, both integral to the Middle Corridor initiative aimed at boosting cooperation with Central Asia. Additionally, Georgia has announced plans to modernize its railway system to enhance its role in the Middle Corridor. If the plans proceed as expected, cargo traffic along the corridor could rise from 27 million to 48 million tons by 2025. Kobakidze's commitment to regional collaboration extends beyond Uzbekistan. Just a month ago, he visited Kazakhstan, where he discussed increasing cargo traffic along the Trans-Caspian International Transport Road with Prime Minister of Kazakhstan, Olzhas Bektenev. Kazakh Prime Minister revealed that by 2027, the volume of transportation along this road could reach 10 million tons. From Almaty, Kazakhstan, Fariza Kalimurzana, A News.
The countdown to the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics and Paralympic Games has begun. Italy's stunning ski resorts in the Dolomite Mountains are preparing to host the 50th anniversary of the first Winter Paralympic Games.
With just a year to go, Italy's ski resorts in the Dolomite Mountains are preparing to host the Milano Cortina 2026 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Work on the key snow sports venues are intensifying as organizers look to keep their plans on track. It will be Milan's first time covering the event. However, Cortina hosted it back in 1956. Milan has the honor of staging the ongoing ceremony, the ice skating and ice hockey events, and will also house the Olympic Village. Cortina will feature the bobsleigh, skeleton, luge, women's alpine skiing and curling. It will be the 50th anniversary of the first Winter Paralympic Games, and also it's the second time Italy will have hosted the Paralympic Games. The last time was nearly 20 years ago in 2006. For the first time, wheelchair curling mixed doubles will be introduced as a new medal event. The winter sports showpiece will take place from February the 6th to the 22nd, with the Paralympic Winter Games following from March the 6th to the 15th.
Hollywood's biggest night isn't just about glitz, glamour and golden statues. It's also a story of craftsmanship that spans continents, while stars spans a red carpet. Halfway across the world, in a factory in Ningbo, China, workers are busy producing Oscar trophy souvenirs.
The 97th Academy Awards ceremony took place in Los Angeles, US on Monday. However, in a workshop at one of China's major ports in Ningbo in Zhejiang province, 3 production lines were operating at full capacity, producing Oscar trophy souvenirs. As the only authorized manufacturer of these souvenirs globally, the company produces between 1.2 million and 1.5 million items annually, with a daily output of between 5,000 and 8,000. Once packed, the sought-after ornaments are shipped to America as official memorabilia for the Oscars ceremony. The factory spans 12,000 square meters and employs around 100 workers. Equipped with 20 injection machines, 4 assembly lines, 2 micro-motor production lines, and a spray painting line, the facility is strategically positioned near major resources. This prime location ensures efficient production and distribution, enabling the company to meet the high global demand for Oscar memorabilia.
Thanks for joining us. Keep watching A News for the latest, and we'll be back before you know it.